Hello, this is Nicholas Lane, and my live event project is Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd is obviously one of the greatest rock and roll bands of all time, and to this day, they've sold approximately 250 million albums worldwide, and are considered one of the greatest bands of all time. They were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1996, and put out some of the greatest albums ever produced. Albums like Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here in the Wall, to name a few. I think this would be a great opportunity for a live show, a one-time show, to kind of give the fans one last look at one of the greatest bands of all time, since they rarely performed together since the end of their last tour in 1994. I think this would be just a huge opportunity, and I think it would just be a monumental success, as Pink Floyd is one of the most beloved bands of all time. I think a show of this magnitude, would probably increase their legacy tenfold, and probably just give newer generations, a glimpse of, what makes this band so special. I would hold this event in their hometown of London, England. See here, and I would hold it at a Wembley Stadium, one of the most revered stadiums in all the world. I would have this show um, July July 4th, 2015, to commemorate the 40th anniversary of the release of one of their all-time great albums, Wish You Were Here. And as part of that show, the band would play the whole album in its entirety from start to finish. The reason why I picked Wembley Stadium, obviously, it's one of the most iconic stadiums in the world, and also seating capacity is 90,000 people, in which I imagine the show, one-time show of Pink Floyd, would sell out in minutes. Since Pink Floyd obviously has not toured since 1994 and have rarely made appearances since then, this would be an unbelievable opportunity. So show a little bit of the schedule I'd have for the show on the day before. Actually, I had dated this for 2014, but I think it best to be, make it more realistic, be 2015. So I'd, you see here the schedule. Part of the schedule here is that on the day before the show, load in all the trucks to put the stage together, rig all the lightings, get all the amplifiers and all that stuff set up the night before. Obviously, when you're putting on a show at Wembley Stadium, it's a massive undertaking. So, and you can see the sound check about noon, the day of the show. Then go back to the hotel, which will be the Ritz London, one of the most luxurious hotels in the world. And then back to the stadium probably around 6:30 local time, and the band would take the stage around 9 o'clock. As far as a rider go, I couldn't find a specific rider pertaining to Pink Floyd itself, so I was able to find a rider of a similar band, The Who. And this was taken from one of their tours. I think it stayed here in 1996. Basically, it's a huge request of beverages and foods for basically the backstage area for the band and their staff, their assistants and all the people involved. And so as for me, I would, for part of the to make this a little more easier to provide all the necessary items, I would have this be provided by the Wembley Stadium staff, as they have their own basically they have their own restaurants and their own catering services. So as part of the contract with the stadium, I would have all that provided by the stadium, so we didn't have to go messing around with outside caterers and all that. Here's some of the costs revenue I projected from this event. I think the band fee would be probably around $4 million. Well, you have 3 surviving members, which would be about $1 million apiece, and you have another $1 million to divide up to additional musicians that they would need to perform live. And so, and also you take a look at some of the other expenses here, backline production. I figure right around $1 million for it's fairly conservative, but I think $1 million for an outdoor show of that size would be a good starting point. I did some research and rent out this stadium is about $850,000. And this is all I did this in American dollars for easy calculations. To have this broadcast live by the BBC, probably around $500,000 for a crew. Security around $100,000. Transportation to and from the hotel to the venue, probably around $10,000. We would book a floor of the Ritz Carlton. Risk analysis, I think that low attendance is probably low probability. Obviously, Pink Floyd playing in London, basically with their backyard, I don't think that you would have to worry about not being a sellout. The chances, there's always that chance, depending on what the economy is and that thing. But I think this would sell out pretty quickly. Technical difficulties are always an issue when you're dealing with outside shows. You have weather to deal with, so you got to take precautions and making sure all the equipment's protected. And also another analysis for risk analysis I put it was band implosion. Obviously, Pink Floyd has had a very acrimonious history in the last 30 years, and so you would hope they would not just all of a sudden the night before so said I had it. I'm tired of looking at you. I would hopefully maybe try to separate them, and then when absolutely necessary, bring them together so when they go on stage. But obviously, when you have the history of Pink Floyd, conflicts, that is always something you have to deal with. And what I learned from this project is that there is a lot to go into a major production. You have so many variables you have to look at. That's why obviously this is something you can't do alone. You need a team of people and have a checklist of things that need to be taken care of. And obviously we're dealing with a band like Pink Floyd. You have to do a lot of ego massaging. And so I think that was one of the biggest takeaways I have is that you have to work with people, listen to people, and like I said, delegate all the responsibilities you can to people, but make sure you have a grip on what's going on, and make sure the final product is a go. And like I said, I think this would be a dynamic show, a concert for the ages, if you ask me, because Pink Floyd is obviously one of the all-time great bands. And I thank you for your time and this presentation.